What is intermittent fasting? Ketogenic, weight loss, and bodybuilding circles have recently discovered the benefits of intermittent fasting, but it's nothing new. Since the early 1900s, it has been used in the treatment of obesity, epilepsy, and diabetes. Humans and many other organisms have practiced intermittent fasting for a long time. By doing so, you're able to access ancient wisdom that's already buried deep within your body. This method of eating has been embraced by scientists and celebrities alike. Intermittent fasting is good for you, and it can help you with everything from weight loss and cancer prevention to improved brain function and protein sparing. It's also simple. The history of intermittent fasting. While traditional dieting can be difficult to follow, fasting is simple and clear. It's the way things have always been. Every time you skip a meal, you're already doing intermittent fasting. Our hunter-gatherer ancestors were in a fasting state while searching for food in prehistoric times. Civilization began with the development of agriculture. Fasting, however, was a common practice during times of scarcity or seasonal shifts. Grain and cured meat were stored in cities and castles for the winter. The lack of grain meant famine before irrigation, and people fasted to keep their stored food supply going as long as possible until the rains returned. Because of the proximity of people, religions were able to grow and spread throughout a larger area. Fasting was also a part of many religions' teachings. As a personal penance to honor their personal gods, Hindus observe Vasa, fasting on special days or festivals. It is forbidden to work, eat, drink, wash, wear leather, or engage in intercourse during Ramadan and Yom Kippur in Islam and Judaism. 6 weeks of fasting precede Easter or Holy Week in Catholicism. The science of intermittent fasting. Modern agriculture and factory-produced food, or food-like substances, have fundamentally altered the way people view and consume food on a daily basis, resulting in the myriad of health issues we face today. The science behind intermittent fasting's numerous health benefits is only now becoming widely known, despite the fact that it is an age-old practice. When you fast, you give your body the opportunity to naturally purify, repair, and regenerate so that it can perform at its best. Fasting has a number of health benefits, including regulating circadian rhythms, improving the gut microbiome, and changing lifestyle habits. Biology of the day. Our bodies have evolved to have a circadian clock that ensures that our bodily functions are carried out at the optimal times of day. Changes in biology and behavior are influenced by circadian rhythms, which occur over the course of a 24-hour day and night cycle. Obesity and its accompanying diseases, such as type 2 diabetes, coronary heart disease, and cancer, are exacerbated when this natural circadian rhythm is disrupted. Intermittent fasting can help with this. These metabolic, physiological, and behavioral pathways all play a role in overall health and longevity if they're controlled by your circadian rhythms as a result of feeding signals. Circadian rhythms can be synchronized through behavioral interventions, such as intermittent fasting, leading to improved gene expression, metabolic reprogramming, hormonal regulation, and weight regulation. The gut microbiome. GIT, gastrointestinal tract, also known as the gut, plays an important role in many bodily processes. In addition to the circadian rhythm described above, nearly every physiologic and biochemical process in your body is affected by this rhythm. For example, during the day, glucose-induced increases in gastric emptying, blood flow, and metabolic processes are more pronounced than at night. Chronically disrupted circadian rhythms may affect gut function, resulting in impaired metabolism and an increase of chronic disease, according to this evidence. There has been a great deal of investigation into the gut microbiome, also known as our second brain, due to its important role in human health and disease. Fasting intermittently affects the gut microbiome in a positive way. Reduced gut permeability, diminished systemic inflammation, promotion of energy balance by enhancing gut integrity. More and more studies are being conducted on the gut and the benefits of intermittent fasting as a means to prevent and treat various diseases. Personality traits. A variety of health behaviors, including caloric intake, energy expenditure, and sleep, can be improved by intermittent fasting. Because of these three factors, it's no surprise that weight loss is one of the most appealing aspects of intermittent fasting today. Researchers recently discovered that reducing caloric intake and weight gain while increasing the length of the nightly fast to at least 14 hours was beneficial for health, energy levels, sleep satisfaction, satiety at bedtime. Reduced nighttime eating and poor sleep quality and reduced sleep duration are also reduced by intermittent fasting, increasing insulin resistance and the risk of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Fasting causes your body to experience an adaptive cellular stress, which prepares it to deal with more severe stressors down the road and prevents disease progression. As a result, your body's cells become more resilient in the face of more severe stress. This is known as hormesis. Remember, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? Fasting during intermittent meals has several advantages. Fad diets can be expensive, time-consuming, difficult, or inconvenient, but fasting is none of those things. Everyone can participate in intermittent fasting at any time. Diets are a pain in the neck. Almost a quarter of New Year's diet resolutions are broken within 2 weeks, and another 1/3 are broken by the end of January, according to NPR's health poll in 2011. Cutting calories and changing your eating habits are two of the most important aspects of a healthy diet. However, even though an estimated 45 million Americans go on a diet each year, the Center for Disease Control, or CDC, estimates that 70.7% of adults aged 20 and up are either overweight or obese. It's obvious that something isn't working. However, there's no such thing as a diet when it comes to intermittent fasting. You don't reduce your caloric intake in a deliberate way when following the intermittent fasting diet. The smaller window of time in which you eat allows you to naturally reduce your caloric intake. Making the effort to consume enough calories is beneficial. Everyone can benefit from a whole foods diet, but you don't necessarily have to alter your diet to do so. If you want to lose weight and body fat without causing your body or your lifestyle to be shocked, intermittent fasting is a good option. It's just a way of eating that encourages fat loss while maintaining lean muscle mass. As a bodybuilder, you'll love intermittent fasting because it allows you to get leaner while maintaining your muscle mass. There are a slew of additional advantages to intermittent fasting, such as improved sleep, increased activity, and a reduction in food intake. Researchers in the field of health recommend intermittent fasting because of the numerous advantages it has. With the evidence that supports them, here they are. The fat loss benefits of intermittent fasting. Fasting for short periods of time at a time improves your body's ability to burn fat for energy. Adipocytes, or fat cells, can release fatty acids because insulin levels are lower due to the shorter window of opportunity for eating. Because glucose and glycogen levels are lower, the body is more likely to use fatty acids for energy production rather than storing them as fat. You burn fat instead of storing it, and you'll soon exhaust your supply. Adherence to the intermittent fasting diet as a weight loss strategy is also critical. Several years after going on a diet, research shows that most people gain back the weight they lost, if not more. Why? They don't follow through on their diets as they say they will. Long-term adherence is nearly impossible with most diets, so this isn't surprising. In addition to reducing calorie intake and promoting ketosis, lipolysis, autophagy, and other beneficial physiological responses that contribute to weight loss, intermittent fasting is remarkably easy to keep up. Preventing disease through intermittent fasting. Recent studies show that intermittent fasting can help diabetics lower their blood sugar levels and improve their overall health. The World Journal of Diabetes published a study that found that subjects with type 2 diabetes mellitus who implemented short-term daily intermittent fasting significantly reduced their body weight, fasting glucose, and post-meal glucose variability. Been proven to be effective. In turn, this lowers the risk of cardiovascular disease, neurological disorders such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and cancer. Improves stress resistance markers, reduce inflammation and blood pressure, improve glucose and lipid levels. Fasting for anti-aging purposes. Given that aging is the Western world's #1 enemy, how would you feel if you discovered the anti-aging secret? You've already done it. A growing body of research shows that intermittent fasting has potent anti-aging properties, including the ability to lower blood pressure, reduce oxidative damage, improve insulin sensitivity and glucose uptake, and reduce fat mass. An autophagic process by which your body gets rid of dead or underperforming cells and regenerates and recycles damaged proteins is triggered by biological stressors like fasting. In order to prevent diseases like cancer, neurodegeneration, diabetes, cardiomyopathy, autoimmune diseases, liver diseases, and a host of others, autophagy is critical. Several of the positive effects of fasting can be attributed to these vital bodily functions. Therapeutic uses of intermittent fasting. Physical. It has been shown that intermittent fasting is as effective as approved drugs in reducing seizures and seizure-related brain damage, as well as in healing rheumatoid arthritis, in addition to its use in diabetes management. Alternate day fasting has been shown to reduce the toxic effects of chemotherapy and reduce cancer morbidity rates, according to new research findings. All major religions around the world still practice spiritual fasting as a way to purify the soul. All of these religions are distinct, yet they all use fasting as a means of healing and promoting health. There are those that believe fasting is a form of penance. Yes, that is true, but penance serves a purpose. Self-love and well-being are at the end of this process of forgiving and peace. This should serve as a powerful example of the benefits of fasting. The self-control muscle is strengthened through regular practice with psychological fasting. Fasting is a form of mental and physical training because you're consciously choosing not to eat and thereby granting control over your mind. Aside from learning how to control your own eating, this training also teaches you the ability to control other aspects of life. According to a recent study, women who practiced intermittent fasting reported feelings of accomplishment, pride, reward, and self-control growth. Your sense of accomplishment and self-esteem can be boosted by demonstrating self-discipline. Self-control, as demonstrated by numerous studies, including the marshmallow test, the most famous, is one of the best predictors of happiness and success. Gratitude for food, life, and the nourishment of your body is also heightened when you break your fast. The mental advantages of intermittent fasting. The cognitive benefits of intermittent fasting are well documented. Autophagy is the ability of your brain cells to recycle and repair themselves for optimal purpose, as intermittent fasting has been shown to do earlier in this article. According to recent research, interfering with neuronal autophagy can cause degenerative changes in the brain's function, limiting your ability to function to the fullest. A protein in the brain, known as brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, is also released during intermittent fasting. Involvement in this protein in learning, memory, and cognitive function has been shown. You can protect your brain cells and even grow new ones with the help of BDNF, according to research. Your body begins to use fat as a source of energy and converts it into ketones when you follow an intermittent fasting diet. As a result, your brain is fed, and you have more mental acuity, energy, and productivity because ketones easily cross the blood-brain barrier. Intermittent fasting, when used in conjunction with a well-planned, whole foods diet, prevents the blood sugar spikes that can lead to brain fog and other mental health issues, such as depression. Fitness benefits from intermittent fasting. The physical benefits of intermittent fasting are true too, including metabolism is improved. By forcing your body and mind to eat only during a specific window of time each day, intermittent fasting improves your overall health. As a result, it encourages an appropriate and healthy calorie intake. A ketogenic diet and fasting can teach people to eat only when they're hungry, rather than at pre-established mealtimes or in a mindless and impulsive manner. Contrary to popular belief, fasting has no negative impact on your metabolism. Proper fasting can help your metabolism improve and your body's ability to use glucose or fats for energy, depending on the circumstances. Wind and endurance are better. Other athletes, including football players, maintain their wind by running and engaging in other cardiovascular training. Your VO2 max is the maximum amount of oxygen per minute per kilogram of body weight that you can use during intense exercise. The more work you can get done by using more oxygen at once, the better off you'll be. A person's level of fitness can be gauged by their VO2 max, which is twice as high in elite endurance athletes as it is in the general population. Researchers in one study compared the VO2 max levels of people who were either fasted, that is, had not eaten breakfast, or fed 1 hour after a cereal breakfast. Starting VO2 in both groups was close to the norm for untrained individuals, at about 3.5 liters per minute. The VO2 max of the study participants increased as a result of endurance cycle ergometer training. In comparison to those who were fed breakfast, the fasted group saw a significant increase in their VO2 max. Fasting intermittently and strength training. On the intermittent fasting diet, many people report feeling better and training better. Less hunger is one of the best and most frequently mentioned advantages. The amount of calories you consume in 1 or 2 large meals is greater than the amount consumed in 5 or 6 smaller meals throughout the day. Those larger meals leave bodybuilders feeling more satisfied. Bodybuilders, however, must watch their protein intake closely. Maximum muscle growth and synthesis of muscle protein. Increasing your protein intake at one point in the day will not make up for a lack of protein at other times of the day. There's a 20-gram anabolic limit. If you eat 40 grams of protein in one meal, you won't make up for it. That's not how it works. Incorporate supplements like Perfect Keto Perform or Perfect Keto Collagen into your fasting regime on training days to ensure that you're getting enough protein. BCAAs. While training in a fasted state, BCAAs, or branched-chain amino acids, protect you from muscle damage, speed up recovery, reduce protein breakdown, and prevent you from feeling depleted. Why the emphasis? As a result, you're not fasting if you're taking BCAAs, which means you're ingesting protein. On the other hand, BCAAs act as a potent source of energy for your muscles when you're training. The advantages far outweigh the drawbacks. Creatine. Increased lean body mass and muscle fiber size, power output, and strength can be achieved by taking creatine supplements, 3 to 5 grams per day. Strength and muscle gains are better achieved by taking creatine after your workout rather than pre-workout. Beta-alanine. By increasing your body's carnosine levels, beta-alanine enhances endurance by preventing the hydrogen ions associated with fatigue from reaching your cells. Note, it is important that your fasting method match the physical demands of your workouts. If you're looking to improve your health and performance, one of the many forms of intermittent fasting can help. The types of intermittent fasting. You can choose from 7 different types of intermittent fasting. Discover which type works best for you by experimenting with a few. Here are the most popular 4 types. Number 1, 8-16. 16 hours off, 8 hours on. You can also call it skipping a meal or daily window fasting. This is the most common and easiest method of intermittent fasting, in which you eat for 8 hours and fast for 16 hours. Either wait until later in the day to eat and skip breakfast, or eat a light dinner and wait until the next day's breakfast. Veterans of the intermittent fasting diet may be able to eat in less than 8 hours. For example, people who follow a diet that restricts their food intake to just 1 or 4 hours per day are called 23-1 and 24 splitters. The warrior diet is a form of prolonged fasting that lasts at least 20 hours. Number 2. In both alternate day, 24-hour fasting, and 5-2 alternate day fasting, which is also known as the eat, stop, eat diet, and the up day, down day diet, eating is allowed on all other days. For instance, eating days are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and fasting days are Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. If this is the case, then your last meal on Friday will be dinner, and your next meal will be either brunch on Saturday or dinner on Sunday. A quarter of your normal daily caloric intake is consumed on 2 days of the week for 5-2 fasting. In place of eating 2,000 calories every day, this person would only eat 500 calories 2 days a week for the rest of the week. Fasting on alternate days rather than restricting calories is more convenient for many people. Number 3, water fasting. Fasting on water is the most difficult type of fasting and should only be attempted under the guidance of a professional. A water fast may be considered the only true fast according to some religious traditions. You eat and drink nothing but water for a few days. 0 calorie intake is possible. As a result, you would be deficient in important nutrients and vitamins. A strict water fast isn't recommended because of this. A typical goal of a water fast is to cleanse the body of toxins and reduce body fat. Ketosis occurs on the 2nd or 3rd day of a water fast for someone who is not fat adapted and whose body is using fat reserves for energy. The body's attempt to conserve energy may make an overweight person with a lot of excess body fat feel energized, while a leaner person may feel lethargic. In addition to the risk of electrolyte imbalances, water fasting can be extremely uncomfortable because of the complete lack of food. Begin with more manageable fasting patterns like 16-8 or alternate day fasting before going all out with a water fast. Alternatives: juice and broth fasts. Sucking on bone broth mixed with fats could provide a small amount of protein as well as nutrients and electrolytes while on a bone broth fast. When compared to water fasting, Juice fasting may have the vitamins and minerals you're missing. There's a good reason why people juice vegetables. If you use fruit juice alone or as a flavor enhancer for your green juice, you're basically sipping sugar water, which is not ideal for ketosis. Fat fasting. Fast mimicking. Because of the unhealthy fats consumed during the fast, the practice is known as fat fasting rather than fast mimicking. Our bodies are incapable of telling the difference between eating food and metabolizing food, so we remain in a fasted state. For those who don't want to go without food, this provides the benefit of fasting while providing your body with all the nutrients it needs to get into ketosis. Which types of intermittent fasting should you choose? To varying degrees, the answer to this question depends on your current fat-adapted state and your long-term aspirations. Ketosis, as we'll learn in a moment, aids fasting by allowing your body to become more efficient at using stored fats for energy, rather than constantly asking for food, that is, carbs. If you're new to keto or fasting, it's best to begin with a 16-8 fast if you're not yet fat-adapted. It's as simple as skipping meals for a day. When you've been doing fasting or keto for a while, you start thinking about your long-term goals. After a particularly bad cheat day, you may be trying to get into ketosis, or weak. Ketone production may be restored by fasting for 24 hours or more every other day, depending on the severity of your ketones. Breaking through a plateau in weight loss is the most common goal. Implementing any of the above-mentioned fasting strategies, except water fasting, may help you break through that plateau quickly, depending on other factors. Intermittent fasting on a ketogenic diet. The similarities and differences between fasting and ketosis. Due to ketosis, a metabolic state in which fat is burned rather than glucose, both intermittent fasting and the ketogenic diet have similar benefits. When you eat a lot of carbohydrates, your body becomes sluggish at this natural process. As glucose from carbohydrates is not readily available when you fast, your body must store burned fat as a source of energy. Fasting triggers several desirable bodily processes: ketosis, lipolysis, autophagy. Fasting is a better way to get into ketosis than a gradual shift to a fat-adapted state. Intermittent fasting and keto combined. Fasting helps you get into ketosis, and being in ketosis also helps you fast. Many people who follow a ketogenic diet do so on a regular basis because it aids in weight loss and provides an easy means of calorie restriction. Longer fasts are easier on the body when a ketogenic diet. Benefits and a smoother transition are shared by both parties. Easier transition. You can avoid the keto flu and the fasting flu by fasting and becoming fat-adapted or ketogenic. In a ketogenic, fat-adapted state, your body is already introduced to tapping into your fat stores for energy instead of relying on carbs for glucose. Ketogenic macro proportions, high fat, moderate protein, low carb, make it easier to make the switch to intermittent fasting. Muscle protection. To ensure that your body has a source of fat and uses it instead of breaking down muscle protein for energy during your fast, a high-fat diet such as the ketogenic diet is a good option. Coffee with heavy cream or butter or ghee or MCT oil or powder is a popular choice for those on the keto diet who are fasting for the entire day. In the next section, we'll shift our focus from the advantages of fasting to the foods that pair well with it. What to eat when intermittent fasting. It may sound absurd to eat while fasting, but it's not. During your eating windows, what you eat is important. Your daily caloric intake should be adequate. If you're going to go on a fast, avoid eating a lot of carbohydrates, which will only make it more difficult. Good fats help your body burn fat instead of muscle protein, which can deplete your muscle mass and lead to weight gain problems. Eating nutritious greens and complex carbohydrates like sweet potatoes can help some people stay on a ketogenic diet, as well as aid in their ability to maintain a healthy weight. Do I need carbs? Dieters who follow a ketogenic diet are well aware that carbs are not required for optimal performance. Your brain and body can use an alternative energy source if carbs aren't available. Ketones. Leafy greens are an excellent source of fiber-rich carbohydrates, which won't detract from the metabolic advantages of ketosis. Avoid sugary and fatty foods. Exogenous ketones for intermittent fasting. What are exogenous ketones? In the absence of intermediate energy, your body uses stored fat as fuel during a fast. Ketosis is the name given to the state, in which fat serves as the primary source of energy for the body. Ketone supplements, or exogenous ketones, are what they sound like. While in ketosis, your body produces and utilizes ketones. Exogenous ketones increase the amount of ketones available to your body for use. Can you break a fast with exogenous ketones? No. Fuel and essential minerals for physical and mental energy are the only things they accomplish. Your brain gets a boost from the ketones you consume. So many keto and intermittent fasting devotees enjoy the mental vigor that comes with this type of fasting. As a result, you avoid the drowsiness and brain fog that come with a spike in blood sugar following a heavy meal, like pasta, pizza, or potatoes. Bypassing the blood-brain barrier, ketone bodies provide a clean energy source for your brain. As a result, you're mentally alert and awake. With improved mental clarity, you'll be able to make better decisions, such as sticking to your diet and choosing healthy foods when you're hungry. Ketones and fasting. What you need to know. There are numerous advantages to using exogenous ketones while fasting or following a keto diet. Taking ketones in a specific way is dependent on the benefits you seek. Making sure that you don't get the keto flu. Both the keto flu and the fasting flu share the same symptomology, a sudden onset of illness brought on by a dietary shift. A major shift in the way your body generates and utilizes energy can have long-term consequences. Ketones help you avoid or greatly reduce the symptoms of keto flu when you fast or go on a keto diet. Bloating, headaches, irritability, low energy, fatigue. In the first few days of ketosis, take 1/3 to 1/2 a full scoop of perfect keto base per day in smaller doses, spread out throughout the day. Mental sharpness. Ketosis isn't necessary for a mental boost. For 4 to 6 hours, the brain runs on high-octane power from taking exogenous ketones. Taking exogenous ketones. Take 1 scoop first thing in the morning, preferably on an empty stomach. Perfect keto base is available in flavors like chocolate sea salt, vanilla, coffee, and peaches and cream. Fat burning. In the same way that water primes a pump, the ketones in your body encourage your body to continue using stored fat for energy. By consuming ketones, your body is better able to produce and utilize ketones. Exogenous ketones. When and how to use. In order to maintain a steady rate of fat loss, take 1 scoop of perfect keto base with each meal. Getting into or back into ketosis. If your goal with fasting is to get into ketosis, or to get back into it after a cheat day or a cheat period, that's the same as getting the pump primed. And exogenous ketones tells the body that it should start using ketones as a main fuel supply again. Exogenous ketones. When and how to use. The perfect keto base can be taken whenever you want to get into ketosis quickly, and or right after a meal that is higher in carbohydrates than normal. Energy for exercise. Consider cutting back on high-intensity workouts while you're on a fast. However, athletes, fitness fanatics, and parents all need their stamina. You can get instant energy from your brain to every muscle in your body with the help of ketones. When and how to use exogenous ketones. Take a full scoop at least 45 minutes before working out. After that, add another half scoop for each additional 2 hours of nonstop work you perform. Perfect Keto Base or Perfect Keto Perform can be used interchangeably. Pre-workout. Exogenous ketones are best taken at these times. Fasting. When hunger needs to be suppressed on an empty stomach, you can use this product. Mornings are the best time of day. Before any physical or mental exertion such as a workout or exercise. Ketosis recovery after a high carbohydrate meal. To raise ketone levels, do this daily. The truth about intermittent fasting for women. The quote-unquote gentle fasting for women, known as crescendo fasting, and articles and blog posts concluding that the benefits of intermittent fasting favor men and not women may have mentioned to you in articles and blog posts you read. Diet is influenced by hormonal and genetic factors. In this article, we'll dispel some of the most commonly held beliefs about women and fasting. Intravenous fasting and female hormone replacement therapy. When you're underfed, your hunger hormones leptin and ghrelin are activated because your hormones are more sensitive to changes in your environment and diet in women. Stress and starvation are not the best times for a baby to be born, according to an evolutionary perspective. A woman's body always keeps her in prime baby-making condition. What is it that causes the release of hormones? There's not enough food, and the options aren't great. Excessive physical activity, excessive levels of physical or psychological strain, sleep deprivation, insufficient recovery time, bacterial and inflammatory diseases or illnesses. None of the above should occur with intermittent fasting done right. Intermittent fasting studies for women have been debunked. The scientific proof that women shouldn't fast or should fast in a different way is often cited on a study of rats. For 12 weeks, the rats were fed only every other day. The female rats' hormones were already out of whack. Their periods had stopped, and their ovaries had shrunk just after 2 weeks of the experiment. Definitely awful. But we'd like to point out a few things. First, rats have a short lifespan. For a rat, a single day of fasting is equivalent to several days' worth of food deprivation. Not recommended for women or men. That's starvation mode and will throw your body's functions out of whack. It's not as extreme as what the rats were put through in terms of calorie restriction during intermittent fasting. No significant differences in blood pressure, heart rate, triglycerides, fasting glucose, insulin resistance, C-reactive protein, or homocysteine concentrations were found between the alternate-day fasting groups versus the non-diet intervention group in this recent clinical study on human adults. This study, on the other hand, shows that alternate-day fasting does not outperform calorie restrictions on a daily basis. This study found that the daily 16-8 method was more effective at shedding pounds than alternate-day fasting. Is the crescendo method of intermittent fasting appropriate for women? Like the 16-8 and alternate-day fasting methods and the 5-2 fasting method previously discussed in this guide, the crescendo method follows a similar pattern. Every other day, you fast for 12 to 16 hours. Because it doesn't shock your hormones or increase your appetite, this is the theory. Another option for women is to convert 16:8 to 14:10. Doubt and scientific evidence should not be allowed to discourage or confuse you. Instead, listen to your body. Everyone, regardless of gender, is unique. Your weight, height, race, and gender may not be the same as your friends, even if they're the same height, weight, and race. When experimenting with intermittent fasting, choose a method that works best for you and your lifestyle. In the 16:8 method, you can skip dinner if you're more of a breakfast person. There's no harm in trying a 14:10 if you prefer it. Aside from that, remember to fuel up on calories. Fasting is not recommended for pregnant or lactating women, those trying to get pregnant, or adolescents or pre-adolescent girls who are under the age of 18. How intermittent fasting affects testosterone. Testosterone is critical for body repair and growth, which is why bodybuilders pay attention to intermittent fasting. There's testosterone in both men and women. The improved protein synthesis that testosterone promotes in men leads to increased muscle mass and strength. It prevents fat absorption and storage by increasing beta-adrenergic receptors in your cells, which burn fat instead. When it comes to blood flow, you've already heard about testosterone's role. In addition to promoting healthy erections, increased blood flow promotes heart health and the production of red blood cells, which extends the positive effects of testosterone to healthy kidney function and increased bone density. The cognitive and mental health benefits of testosterone are also well documented. Is there any connection between testosterone levels and intermittent fasting? We've got the facts. GH, or growth hormone levels, can rise by up to 2,000% during a 24-hour fast. There's a close relationship between growth hormone and testosterone that aids men in building muscle, enhancing penile function, and enhancing their cognitive abilities. LH, luteinizing hormone levels, rise by 67% during a fast, too. The precursor to testosterone is luteinizing hormone. Testosterone levels rose by 180% in the same study, making the effects immediately apparent. The hypothalamus's release of testosterone is stimulated by fasting, which lowers the body's levels of leptin. An important note: fasting helps you lose weight, and the less fat you have, the more testosterone you'll produce. Non-obese men were found to have the same effects on GH, LH, and testosterone levels as obese men. It's unrealistic to expect higher testosterone levels before you've lost any excess body fat, just as it's impossible to see sculpted muscle before you've lost fat. The good news is that fasting can be used for both. Testing results during and after a fast. Tests for ketones, glucose, and other parameters help you feel good about your fasting. It's energizing and enjoyable, and they demonstrate to you that all is well. But don't get too attached to the numbers. Depending on insulin sensitivity or resistance, genetics, and other personal factors, each person responds differently. You may not have reacted in the same way as your friend did when she sped up. How to test ketone levels. As a result of the increase in ketones during your fasting, your body has entered ketosis and is burning your stored fats to produce ketones as fuel. Urine testing. Urine strips are what you need. Acetoacetate, a ketone body, is what it measures. How it works. Ketones are produced by the body when you begin a fast or a ketogenic diet, and they aren't all used up. Rather than being restored as fat, some end up in your urine. Pee on a stick, remove any extra urine, and wait for the results, which can be found on the package. It's the quickest and least expensive way to find out. Strips are inexpensive, and it's reassuring to see a change in your body when you're just beginning the keto diet. A mess is the main drawback. The results can be misleading. According to hydration and electrolyte levels, acetoacetate levels in urine would change. You'll only see acetoacetate in your urine if it's at an abnormally high level. In the long term, urine strips will not be an accurate indicator of ketosis because your body will use acetoacetate as it becomes keto-adapted, and acetoacetate levels in your urine will be extremely low even if you're in ketosis. Breath testing. The ketonics meter should be used. How it works. Ketone bodies acetate and acetone are formed when BHB, or beta-hydroxybutyrate, is broken down into acetoacetate and acetate. Because of this, your acetate-acetone levels correlate with your BHB levels. The more acetate, the more BHB. The more ketone body is BHB. It's all explained here. The ketonics meter can be powered by either a USB cable or a rechargeable battery. Blow into it until it begins to light up. Note the number and the color of the digits. Red indicates the highest concentration of acetone, while green indicates the lowest concentration. If you have more colors flashing, you need more acetone. Pros: the ketonics meter is reusable, unlike pee and blood strips. It's also much easier to clean up if there's no urine or blood involved. Cons: getting a reading is more time-consuming, measuring in a way that is both indirect and inaccurate. Blood testing. A blood pressure cuff or cuffs. Measurement of BHB is what it does. How it works. During ketosis, BHB is the primary ketone body used to transport energy throughout the body. Blood testing is the most accurate way to measure your ketones because it floats in your blood on its way to your cells. The home blood meter test is the same one used by diabetics to monitor their blood sugar levels. To determine your BHB levels, prick your finger and dab a drop of blood onto a test strip before plugging the strip into a blood meter. Pros: consistently accurate and reliable. Cons: using a meter and strips can be pricey, and finger pricking isn't everyone's cup of tea. How to test glucose levels. As your body's glycogen stores are depleted by fasting, your blood sugar levels should drop, stored glucose. You'll lose glucose in ketosis if you don't replenish it with a high enough carb intake while exercising. What to use? Blood meter. What it measures? Blood glucose. A rise in blood sugar may indicate that you consumed more carbohydrates during your eating windows. You have the option to adjust to suit your needs. It's important to remember, however, that blood sugar fluctuations can occur for a variety of reasons. Although blood glucose levels can be erratic in hypoglycemics, for whom fasting is not recommended, and women during hormonal fluctuations, the advantages and disadvantages of testing blood glucose are similar to those of testing blood for ketones. Another pro. Checking your blood sugar levels can help you discover how your fasting glucose levels change when you're on a keto diet, which is known as the Glucose Ketone Index, or GKI. How to calculate your glucose ketone index. Lowering blood glucose levels is one of the primary reasons doctors recommend fasting and a ketogenic diet. Ketosis, which is induced by low blood glucose, is beneficial in the treatment of diabetes and epilepsy. It can also be used to treat cancer. Cancer cells cannot thrive when blood glucose levels are low. Dying cancer cells are a result of cancer cells that have been starved to death. As a result, even if you have high ketone levels and are in nutritional ketosis, you will not reap the benefits of ketosis if you also have high blood glucose levels. What is the GKI? For a more accurate picture of your metabolic health, the GKI combines ketone and glucose levels into one number. Goals and benefits gained from ketosis, such as weight loss, athletic performance, and the management of metabolic diseases like type 2 diabetes, as well as cancer treatment, can be tracked using the GKI. To see how your body responds to fasting, the GKI is an excellent tool for the first time and for regular fasting. What affects the GKI? The insulin and glucose balance in your body is not only affected by medical conditions, such as diabetes and glandular illnesses, but is also affected by carb intake. Because of your GKI, you also need to keep an eye on what you eat during your mealtimes. Eat a low-carbohydrate diet to keep your blood sugar levels in check. Stress. Stress is another factor that has an impact on blood glucose levels but is frequently overlooked. Take it easy and don't put too much stress on your body while you're fasting. Stress hormones, cortisol and epinephrine, can spike your blood sugar for fight, flight if you don't learn how to lower your mental stress levels. How to measure your GKI. To reap the benefits of fasting, try to get your GKI as close to 1. The formula for calculating the GKI is GKI equals blood glucose divided by 18 divided by blood ketones. A blood pressure cuff is a must-have. Ketones and glucose can be measured in the manner described above. When you've taken your blood sugar levels, divide them by 18. This changes the blood glucose level from milligrams per deciliter to millimoles per liter. If your glucose level has already been measured in millimoles per liter, you can skip this step. Divide your glucose level by your ketone level, whether it is already in millimoles per liter or has been converted. Your GKI is the number you receive. Your GKI is the number you receive. GKI numbers by goal or treatment. The following are the most widely accepted GKI measurements, organized by treatment and goal. Not in ketosis if GKI is more than 9. GKI 6 to 9, low ketosis level. Beneficial for weight loss and optimum health and weight management. A moderate level of ketosis. GKI 3 to 6 is ideal for addressing insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and obesity management. For epilepsy and cancer treatment, GKI of less than 3 and high levels of ketosis are commonly used. This level of ketosis should be achieved at least once a year for disease prevention. Weight, body fat, and body tape measurement are also important measurements to keep track of during a fast. Weight. Water weight is lost during a fast. This is because your muscles and liver store glycogen, which is held in liquid form by your body. Water is no longer needed to store glycogen as your glycogen stores diminish. That's why fasting often results in significant weight loss for many people. Your body will regain that weight once your fast is over. You may gain lean muscle while fasting or following a low-carbohydrate, high-fat diet like ketosis. Fat has a lower density than muscle. Take the numbers on the scale with a grain of salt, unless you have a lot of fat to lose, and use the tape measure instead. Body tape measurements. Fasting or going keto and building muscle to replace fat will result in modest weight loss once you've lost it all. Body tape measurements, on the other hand, are a pleasant surprise. They show how far you've progressed in your pre-diabetic waistline. Consistency is essential when taking body tape measurements. You can use the same tape measure and lay it flat in the same place every time you measure. Your right arm, if you're right-handed, should be used to determine your thigh, calves, biceps, and arm measurements. Photos of one's body fat percentage. These calipers are excellent. You can also take a picture of yourself and estimate your body fat percentage by looking at it. Combining intermittent fasting with a ketogenic diet burns fat. The safety of intermittent fasting. Before beginning any type of fast, make an appointment with your physician. Many factors such as hypoglycemia or insufficient fat stores in your body could make intermittent fasting inadvisable for you. Is intermittent fasting a safe dietary practice? Humans and most other animals have been fasting for millennia, and it's a natural part of life. The advantages of fasting far outweigh any risks or disadvantages. Without sufficient knowledge of how everything interacts to be beneficial rather than harmful, you run the risk of experiencing these dangers while fasting. When you're on a strict diet, it's important to keep your body and mind in peak condition. If you have a medical condition that prevents you from fasting, talk to your doctor first. Vitamin and mineral deficiencies can be compensated for by taking supplements or a greens powder. Determine your ideal caloric intake and eat that amount during your meal times. Staying hydrated is essential. Exogenous ketones can be used. You can avoid the dangers of fasting if you follow these guidelines. The dangers of fasting. Insufficient sodium, calcium, potassium, magnesium, or phosphate in the body can lead to electrolyte imbalances, which can impair normal organ function. Supplements and exogenous ketones, as well as food, all contain these necessary electrolytes. Even if you're fasting, be sure to replenish these essentials. Insomnia, irritability, and exhaustion are all symptoms of an unbalanced system. Results of yo-yo dieting. A fast may not be the best option if you're prone to overeating. Fasting can help you lose weight, but if you don't eat well during your eating windows, you may gain the weight back or even gain more. Overtraining. Fasting can motivate some people so much that they also decide to exercise in an effort to maximize their results. Stress and electrolyte imbalances, both of which can cause blood sugar spikes and even collapse, can result from this. Ketoacidosis. Water fasting, as previously stated, is not recommended due to the lack of calories, vitamins, and minerals your body requires to function on a daily basis. A condition known as ketoacidosis occurs when blood ketone levels rise dangerously high, causing the blood to become acidic. People who starve their bodies are at risk for this condition. Ketoacidosis, on the other hand, is not caused by fasting alone. Before embarking on a fast, be sure to speak with your physician about the pros and cons of doing so. Ketosis versus ketoacidosis. Ketosis, on the other hand, is an unnatural state. Known as diabetic ketoacidosis because it is common in diabetics, it is also known as ketoacidosis. Diabetics with type 1 diabetes are more likely to experience this symptom than those with type 2 diabetes. It's more common in alcoholics and the desperately hungry. Symptoms associated with ketoacidosis: excessive urination, dehydration, extreme thirst, hyperglycemia, vomiting, nausea or stomach pain, shortness of breath or gasping, fruit-smelling breath, too much acetone in your breath, feeling overly tired, feeling confused. What causes ketoacidosis? A combination of starvation and alcoholism, a thyroid that is overworked, alcoholism, cardiovascular disease, acute life-threatening conditions such as pancreatitis, sepsis, or a heart attack. bacterial or viral infections of the urinary tract, or pneumonia. Certain medications have the potential to interfere with the effective use of insulin. Drug abuse. And stress. In the event that you're at risk for ketoacidosis, you should see your doctor to discuss your situation. Ketosis has all the advantages, but the extreme symptoms of ketoacidosis necessitate immediate medical attention. The only other reason to be skeptical of fasting is because of eating disorders, addictions to dieting, or overeating. Intermittent fasting isn't a good idea if you've struggled with disordered eating in the past, or are currently struggling with it. It's possible that fasting will worsen your condition or bring it back. Fasting must be a part of a well-rounded, well-balanced diet in order to reap the full benefits.